I think it is absolutely certain that Iran, which is a crucible for terrorism, cannot be trusted with a nuclear program for even for civil use. It is continually abusing it, is continually pushing the envelope and trying to create weapons grade
Right.
uranium.
Well, it is time now to chat WTF, the week that finished. I'll look back at a very busy news week with our esteemed panel of political big brains. As ever, I'm joined by former Conservative Cabinet Minister and soon-to-be Dame Penny Mordaunt and former Labour frontbencher Jonathan Ashworth. Good afternoon to you both.
Hello.
Now, let's begin this week by talking about Iran, because it is the story that has dominated, of course, all week. We're now a week into the conflict between Israel and Iran as the countries continue to trade airstrikes. Last night, the world waited for word from Donald Trump after a series of inflammatory comments throughout the week. That, of course, included a Truth Social post saying he wouldn't kill the Iranian Ayatollah Ali Khamenei for now. The movement of US military assets into the Middle East this week appeared to indicate that he could be on the precipice of intervening in the war. But last night, his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, gave this direct message from the president during a White House briefing.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
Today, European foreign ministers, including David Lammy, have been meeting with their Iranian counterpart in Geneva in an effort to find a diplomatic solution to the crisis. Well, Penny, let me start with you on this. Do you think that Donald Trump has basically got cold feet? He's thinking twice about military action that he was sort of hurtling towards, or does he really think that negotiations have a chance, that peace does have a chance?
Well, I hope it's the latter, but what I think people have to be clear about is what it is they're trying to achieve through negotiations. I mean, bluntly, Iran cannot be trusted with a nuclear program for civil use. It is, I mean, we've been here many times before. We know that they have been enriching uranium to be used for other purposes. We know that they have been escalating the volume that they're doing that with. And so I think the goal here needs to be to arrive at a position where they don't run that program. Another nation does it for them. I mean, I think that is the only way you're going to have a good outcome from this, and you're not going to be here, even if you have successful negotiations, a few months or years in the future. So I think that is worth pushing for. And this is a real test for the president. I mean, he's got this reputation now for being the taco president, chickening out.
Trump always chickens out.
Yes, he's got to stay firm on this. And this is the real test for him. Can he get a deal?
And the problem with that is that, the Iranians are pretty intransigent. And he's got to have something to show, oh, yeah, I've got a deal here. This is all great. Well, peace has broken out. But has he sort of boxed himself in a bit, do you think, Penny?
I don't think he's boxed himself in, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But I think if you come out of this and you just have managed to de-escalate a situation, but you haven't resolved it, that won't be a good outcome, because if you do that, we're going to be here again in a few months or potentially weeks' time. What has been, Israel has created an opportunity here. And I think it is absolutely certain that Iran, which is a crucible for terrorism, cannot be trusted with a nuclear program for even for civil use. It is continually abusing it, is continually pushing the envelope and trying to create weapons grade.
Right.
Uranium.
And Jonathan Ashworth, that's the point, isn't it? Because Keir Starmer's been talking about the need for de-escalation. Some would like to hear him being a little bit more robust about the unique situation of the Iranian regime here and the risks that the regime presents.
Yeah, so he's right to call for de-escalation, because I think we would all concede that entering, certainly UK troops being involved in any offensive in that part of the world clearly not something that would be popular, and he wants to see if we can get through this through diplomatic means. Absolutely, but I think you're right to put the question to me, because it is certainly true that Iran is a dangerous, dangerous country. It is a danger to us. It's a country that wants to wipe Israel off the map. And it is a country which, as Penny says, cannot be trusted with a nuclear capability. So the key thing is if we can de-escalate and get negotiations, what is the outcome of those negotiations? And but it's, as always with President Trump, I suspect it's going to be a roller coaster. Two or 3 days ago, I was anticipating, when I was being on your program by this time, that the Americans have got themselves involved. But again, things chop and change with President Trump, don't they? And I suspect they'll chop and change over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, and maybe even before. You never know. But obviously, the crucial question then, Jonathan, is that the UK could well be called upon in some way to support American military action. And even if that is only allowing the Americans to use the Diego Garcia military base, that could potentially create legal problems, couldn't it?
Yes, as I understand it. I'm not an international lawyer, but if I believe what is reported in newspapers, is that the legal minds in government are concerned about this. But equally, America is one of our absolute key allies, the key ally. And if they ask us to use their base, that's going to create quite an acute dilemma for the Prime Minister.
Okay, what would be your advice there? Would you advise him, or would you be uncomfortable with the Americans using our base, for us supporting them to that extent?
Well, I think you've got to do what's in the interests of your country and in the interests of the security situation of your country, and that's what's always got to come first.
So what does that mean? Where does that lead you then?
Well, I think if the UK believes that it's in its security interests to offer its support, then it should offer its support. But it's got to come to that judgment.
Yeah, I know, but you're raising that question, but you're not answering it. Would you support?
I'm not a member of Parliament, so I've not got access to the. I'm certainly not a cabinet minister, so I don't have access to the various intelligence briefings and the discussions that will be going on.
Sure, but you're
in cabinet as we speak.
You're a Labour Party member and a senior Labour politician. Would you support the UK backing American action and letting them use our base?
Well, given that you've reminded me that I'm a Labour Party member, I'll say I'm not going to answer a hypothetical question. I'll confront that bridge when I come to it. But look, the Prime Minister has to leave all options on the table, given that the Prime Minister's solemn responsibility is the security of the country. He and the Cabinet have got to take judgments as to what is in the security interests of the country first and foremost.
Penny, it's very interesting. Jonathan isn't exactly a Corbynista, and he's finding it very hard to support even a supportive role that the UK would be offering America for any military action. There are echoes of Iraq all over, and the possibility of a catastrophic error of the kind made during the Iraq War, isn't there?
I think this is a very different situation from the days of the dodgy dossier. We have a very clear view of what Iran has been doing over many years. And I think we are now presented with an opportunity to try and break free of that cycle. And if we want Iran to have that civilian use, then we've got to be grown up about that and recognize that they can't be trusted to do that themselves. And I think that has got to be the prize in this, and that can only be achieved through negotiation. But in a situation where America felt it needed to intervene to protect its and its allies' interests, I cannot envisage a situation where the UK would not be shoulder to shoulder with the US.
Right. Well, it's fascinating hearing your thoughts on that, both of you.